As a matter of fact, I was so nervous if there is no one in this room. But, oh, amazing. Thank you for your coming. I'm Se-hoon, the mayor of Seoul. Before we begin, let's have some time for ice breaking. I prepared pop quizzes about Seoul. Of course, we prepared some gifts for the winner. Let's start. Okay, the first quiz about Seoul, 629. It's a little difficult. For your information, it is related to the history of Seoul. Okay. Historical landmark, oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Years that Seoul has been the capital city of
Okay, she's very smart. And last, 4. It's related to my political life. Okay. Thank you. I served 4 terms for now. Okay, thank you. Let's start the lecture. It's enough ice breaking. Yeah? As you can see here, my political life has been full of ups and downs. The green part, 2 part, is my mayor's term, and the yellow part is my political absence. Interesting. To make a long story short, there is 10 years of political absence between the 2 times of mayor's term. When I began my mayor's term for the first time in 2006, I was focusing more on making Seoul more attractive. But after 10 years of absence, I was doing my volunteer work in Peru and Rwanda for 1 year, and I realized I had to do more for the needy people. You are looking at the current vision of Seoul. But today, I'm here to tell you how and what we do to help the needy in Seoul. Do you know Korea is very famous for the speedy industrialization and democratization? This picture shows us some symbolic aspect of every advanced country, including Korea, the serious gap between the rich and the poor. The problem is the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Even more, the discrepancy becomes bigger and bigger day by day. Frankly speaking, the fact that I was selected as champion mayor for inclusive growth by OECD recently gave me such a rewarding feeling. But at the same time, I was also surprised to find out that OECD knew exactly what I was doing. As a matter of fact, there are so many policies for the needy people, but today I'd like to explain a few major policies for the socially neglected. This is the first solution for the polarization issue. Don't you think the start line should be fair? Everyone in this room knows the importance of education. In Korea, however, students need to get extra help from the private sector, so-called crammers, in Korean, 학원, to go to better college. This is the main culprit of the big discrepancy between the poor and the rich. So it hit me, how can I help those poor students? This brought me to the academic assistance program called Seoul Learn. This assistance program provides the needy students with famous instructors' online lectures, studying materials for free of charge, along with collegiate mentors. So we are trying to increase the number of participants for the program next year. We've done it a little over a year now, and it has produced fantastic results. A total of 461 participants entered universities through this program this year. I strongly believe that if I can change even one life through this program, that money is worth every penny and I will not spare any money for doing it. This clip shows the effect of Seoul Learn.
서울시는 제가 장담하건대 반드시 프로그램을 더 확대하고 지원을 더 늘려갈 생각입니다.
공부를 하면서 한다고 아이가 성적만 오르는 게 아니라 이제 공부가 자신감이 생기니까 아이가 달라지더라고요. 일상도 달라지고 성적도 달라지고 학교에서 생활하는 것도 달라져서 중학교 2학년이 돼서는 그 학급 회장 선거를 나가게 됐다는 거예요. 원래 그런 애가 아니었거든요. 그냥 조용히 학교 다니고 그런 아이인데 갑자기 이제 학급 부회장이 돼서 굉장히 큰 변화라고 제가 생각하고 있어요. 그리고 이제 공부에 재미가 생기니까 좋아하게 되고 열심히 하다 보니까 더 공부하고 싶은 게 생기고 하니까 이제 서울과학고 영재교육을 자기 가고 싶다고 지원을 해서 그때 시험도 보고 해서 합격해서 다니고 있어요.
How do you feel about the clip? It's such a rewarding experience to me. And I know there is someone like this in this room. Here comes the real deal for the socially neglected. It will change all the current welfare system forever. If this safety income system becomes successful, all the current welfare system, might be antiquated. In the current welfare system for the poor, even if you have opportunities to work more and earn more, you hesitate, or you can't work because the minute you work more than the government's set limit, you will lose all the right to be aided. So, in the current system, people will not want to work more and make more money. They would rather stay in the cycle of being poor and not work anymore. But in the new welfare system that I am experimenting now, people in the poor boundary will want to work more and earn more. This is the comparison picture between the current welfare system and safety income system. Once they are selected as help needed people, we will monitor how much they make every month and supplement them with the money they need if they don't make enough money. And we will stop giving them extra help if they make enough money to live. But even though they are not provided with extra money because they worked harder, their status of getting help doesn't change until they actually graduate from it. This kind of experiment is very common in many countries, many cities, including Seoul. This is the outcome of the past 1 year of the new system. There is a picture of professionals commenting on our experiment. Now, let's talk about the medical care system. At this point in time, I think I need to say something about Korea's healthcare system. I can dare to say that our system is far better than yours. Please don't kill me for this. In our current healthcare system, the richer pay more and the poorer pay less. But the poorer get far more medical benefit from hospitals and doctors' offices. Even with all this benefit, as mayor of Seoul, I am trying to build more city hospitals for the people who are in need of help. This policy gives me another pride. Nowadays, people do not starve to death because our government is taking such good care of them in terms of food. In my opinion, at this point in time, we need to do something about their will to survive on their own, because it's far more important than the food. I've tried to give those homeless people the opportunity to take some liberal arts related courses at colleges. Upon finishing the program, they will be treated the same way as ordinary college graduates. The same graduation suit and the cap and everything else. Believe it or not, about 70% of participants in the program survived the courses and left the colleges with ever higher self-esteem. Now let's take our attention to the world. You know, we had a horrible conflict with North Korea about 70 years ago. If we hadn't received help from the UN, I wouldn't be standing here and talking to you like this now. We can't forget the very much needed enormous help from other countries at that time. And we are the only country in the world that had help from the world before and is giving the help back to the world now. This aid money we gave wasn't much in the beginning, as you can see, but as of this year, we are increasing the amount of aid money dramatically. And also at the same time, we are sending out more volunteers to the world. You know, I'm one of those believers that it's far better to help the needy by teaching them how to fish and not just giving them a fish itself. What a coincidence. The initials for knowledge sharing program are the same as Korea sharing program. I hope this transformation of Korea can give inspiration and courage to many less developed countries. This is what we are doing to help underdeveloped countries become more self-sufficient by growing rice more productively. This is possible because Korea could develop easier rice to breed to survive in destitute African countries like Rwanda. We are making every effort to solve the starvation issues in Africa by developing new rice breed, and it has been very successful so far. I myself stayed in Rwanda for 6 months in 2014. At the time, I helped the city government of Kigali with the issues such as industrialization and welfare systems. While I was there, I was able to witness a highly successful case of growing rice more effectively in the remote village of Mushimba. In the new village movement, so-called Se-maul movement in Korea, about 5 volunteers worked together as a group for a few years. These volunteers led dramatic changes in the mindset of the villagers. They took the initiative and set examples for the villagers. The locals slowly but surely learned how to grow rice. And finally, they realized the true meaning of diligence, self-aid, and cooperation. These 3 principles, diligence, self-aid, and cooperation, are the spirits of the Se-maul movement that were the fundamentals of Korean development. On the other hand, this is sharing knowledge and experience of Seoul. We are sharing our knowledge and experience with 61 cities in 35 countries. These are various examples of sharing our best practices around the world. According to the news, quite a few cities, including the city of New York, is benchmarking our way of processing food waste, which is being turned into fertilizers, animal feeds, and sources of energy. In Seoul, you can pay for one low price of public transportation and you can take the subway or buses as many times as you want. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I announced the new policy of unlimited use of various transportation systems, including buses, subways, and bicycles, and in 1 year, Riverbus, for only $50 a month by benchmarking Germany. Its name is Climate Companion Car. As you all know, Seoul is a world-famous smart city with stronger infrastructure ever now. There's no question about that. And last year, we launched the Seoul Smart City Prize. So far, 240 cities, corporations, and organizations around the world have applied for the prize. And shortly after I return to Seoul, the World Cities Summit Mayors Forum will be held to award the prize. At last, this is the last page of my presentation. Can any of you tell which one is me? Yeah, this is me. I was 7 years old, and I was with the hoodlums in a poor neighborhood where I used to live. Can you guess why I'm so crazy about going together with the socially neglected? As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I and the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, met and drank together. And at the time, we found out many common things about our childhood background. At the time, he told me, his mother said, hard time makes strong man. I totally agreed with him. It's one of the main themes of today's lecture, I think. Actually, today's theme was a little serious, isn't it? So I prepared a video clip, 1 minute short, about Seoul. Thank you. Thank you for your listening.
So, thank you, Mayor O. Let me test the microphone first. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, good. It's a real honor to be with you. My name is Eric Harms. I'm a professor of anthropology here. I specialize in urbanization in Southeast Asia and have spent a long time working in Vietnam myself. So I was very pleased to see the interest that you have in the developing world and your contributions to other cities. But I wanted to ask you a question about your emphasis on going together with the socially neglected. One of the themes that most people talk about when they talk about Seoul is high property prices. And it's difficult to reconcile the question of the socially neglected with property prices. And so one of the things that many housing activists will talk about is the need to manage property prices.
Yeah.
On the other hand, oftentimes those who think about the national economy, the development of the city, some of the kind of images that we see in the video here, will also say that, well, actually managing property prices is very important for the stability of the economic development. So I'd just like to ask you, what do you think about how to manage the property price issue, especially in conjunction with what you were talking about today with the socially neglected?
I understand. I think it's just supply and demand issue. Actually, for the last 10 years, of course, it's another mayor's term, not my term. At the time, he has a kind of political status about real estate, housing, anti-redevelopment, rebuilding the houses. So because of the policy, at the time, the price of houses are increasing and increasing day by day. I think it is very important for us to supply enough houses. So after I became the mayor again, I started to supply enough houses through rebuilding and redevelopment because there is no vacant spaces within the city proper. So if we want more supply of new houses, we must demolish old houses, and instead of that, we must build some more houses speedily. That is the most important solution. Of course, there are so many reasons of high price of houses, but in this short time, I can't explain all the reasons. First of all, the most important thing is supply of houses. And I'm making every effort to supply the new houses.
Thank you. I'll shift to another question. And by the way, after I ask a few questions, we'll be opening it up to the audience for other questions as well. Another topic that one immediately encounters when one thinks about modern day South Korea, Seoul, and modern day South Korea as a whole is the concern about declining fertility rates.
It's very serious.
It's very serious, right? And some scholars have speculated that some of the meteoric rise of Seoul, South Korea's economy over the past year has been related to demographic change and, in fact, limiting population growth.
Yeah.
But now people are very concerned about the future. And so how do you imagine balancing that in a thoughtful way?
It's too tough question because, as you know, there is no right answer about the phenomenon. Let's ask to young people. Why? Actually, there are so many reasons, but I think education, the cost of education is very high in my country. Actually, as I told you, Koreans are very interested in education. Education is all. So they don't spare their money to educate their children. So many Korean young people feel that the cost of education is too high. So the first solution is government or Seoul metropolitan government must help them to educate effectively, efficiently. But as you know, it is almost impossible. So we are making every effort to help to educate their children. Anyway, Immigration. Immigration is a kind of solution. It's very sensitive issue. So in Korea, I do not mention about immigration. It's very sensitive. But recently, in our country, the issue of immigration is emerging as a solution. It's very beginning stage of talking about immigration, but it starts. Maybe in 1 year, 2 years, many Koreans will agree with the solution of immigrant. And moreover, the foreign students, there are many foreign students, especially Southeastern Asian countries. There are so many foreign students in Korea. As I told you, there are so many universities and colleges, 54 universities. So we are considering about giving them better to settle down in Seoul. It's very beginning stage of talking, but it starts. I think it's second solution.
So I'll have one more question before I open it up to the audience. I have other questions if it gets quiet, but I doubt it will be quiet in this great audience. The last topic I'd like to raise for you, you mentioned some of the innovations that you have for addressing the environmental crisis that the globe is facing. And I have a colleague here at Yale, Karen Sito, who's in the School of Environment, and one of the big discoveries that she's made and has been sharing with the world is, we tend to imagine that cities are the opposite of the environment, right? Mm-hmm. But in fact, cities themselves play a very strong role in some of the global climate solutions that we can have, because cities have the capacity to bring people together. Although the city itself may have certain ecological challenges, it can reduce environmental footprints on a larger scale. Cities can be the space where one can have very strategic design interventions to solve climate issues, and so on and so forth. You mentioned in your talk about the innovation with the Metro card, but clearly there's other things. And one of the things that people notice when they visit Seoul is they expect it to be only city, and then they see this kind of very interesting integration with green space and city space that is actually quite well done. So I wondered if you could tell our audience about some of the successes that you see in Seoul, and also some of the challenges that you think need to be addressed, and what are some of your ideas?
Yes. Frankly speaking, it is very difficult job for every mayor in the world. Actually, this visit to New York is for the meeting of C40. C40 is the mayor's forum in the world to solve the climate crisis. At the steering committee, when I attend the steering committee, I reported 3 experiences, 3 issues in Seoul. First, yes, I mentioned today the waste separation and recycling. It's a very successful case. And second, as I told you, I introduced the climate companion card. And for your information, it's for the tourists and foreign people also. It will be very useful, I think. And third was the eco-mileage system. Actually, 10 years ago, in my first term of mayor of Seoul, I initiated the eco-mileage system. As you can guess, Seoulites, citizens of Seoul, can reduce the energy and tap water. It will be accumulated as a point, and they can use the point as a kind of money. So it was very successful policy. As far as I remember, from 2005 to 2022, we can reduce the CO2, CO2 about 9.2%. It was a very successful trial and very successful initiative. So I reported the successful case to the mayors, C40. As you know, the CO2 is produced in the buildings and transportation in city, especially city. So zero energy buildings are very important, and low emission vehicles are very important. The two solutions are very important in the city because there is no factories in the city like Seoul. So our ambitious goal is reduce 30% of CO by 2030, 70% by 2040, and 100% by 2050.
Do you plan to be mayor that long? To see it through?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yes, it's very ambitious goal, aggressive goal of Seoul metropolitan government. Frankly speaking, yes, I agree with you.
Well, thank you for entertaining my tough questions. I want to now open it to the audience. I believe we have microphones on either side, and if it gets quiet, I have questions, but I hope I don't have to ask them. I think we can start on this side. There's a person right there.
I just want to say thank you so much for this talk today. It's meant a lot. And personally, I thought your philosophy in terms of helping the economically marginalized very interesting. And I just wanted to ask, how are you planning on implementing that philosophy in terms of socially marginalized groups such as women and gender minorities in Seoul? And what initiatives can we look forward to in Seoul in the coming years for women and gender minorities?
I think your English is too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I need some help from her. It's a very sensitive question. As a matter of fact, my party is conservative party. Of course, women's case. 10 years ago, I started the policy for the women. The initiative's name was For Women's Happiness Project. So, for instance, I made the women-only parking lot in the basement, and there are so many policies for women. 성소수자 문제는 민감하니까 한국말로 할게요. 미국에서는 아마 굉장히 제 생각하고 좀 다를 수 있는데, 저도 그분들이 인권을 생각합니다. 그분들의 성적 취향을 존중해야 되고, 그리고 그분들이 불편함이 없는 사회 환경을 만드는 것도 꼭 필요하고, 그리고 굉장히 그분들 권리를 보장해야 된다는 것도 인정하지만, 한국 사회는 아직은 조금 그 문제에 대해서 좀 보수적입니다. 그래서 제가 좀 조심스러운 입장이라는 거 이해해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다. It's my answer.
Would you like to call on people yourself rather than?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you.
It's my great honor that I can ask you a question. I'm a postdoc in Yale University, and I'm also father of one daughter. So before I coming here, I'm thinking after 5 or 6 years, I may go back to Korea. But nowadays, it's my problem because nowadays living in Korea is too competitive. Like buying the apartment or teaching, education.
I'm sorry about that.
In addition to that, living cost of Korea is too high. Most of postdoc want to be a faculty in Korea, I think. But the thing is that the salary of a faculty is too low to live in Korea. So I think many doctor or postdoc would agree with me. So this would be the reason why many Koreans want to stay here. I think you would be next president candidate or next year, right? So I really want to know about your opinion. And second is that is similar thing. So in these days, many brilliant Korean students just want to be a doctor. So another major is kind of neglected. So do you have solution about that? Because it would be associated with our country's development, right? If everyone to be a doctor, who would study about the engineering or other stuffs, right? So my question is simply two things. How can you handle about our competitive environment or culture? Second thing is that how can you serve those doctor origin? I mean, everyone wants to be a doctor, so how can you handle that question? Can I deliver clearly? Should I? Anyway, thank you for understanding my English.
나 그냥 대통령 할 생각 없어요. 그냥 시장 가서 하려고요. Yes, it's very important case. I know. Frankly speaking, I can't say solution clearly in this room now. It's very difficult issue. So I will study about that after this lecture. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, for coming and spending time with us. I'm a second-year master's student in public policy. It's a widely known fact that among selective welfare and universal welfare, more than a decade ago, you stood on the side of selective welfare. But in today's slides, policies such as public transport policy that you're promoting, it sounds like it leans more towards universal welfare now, which makes me a bit be confused about what your philosophy is. So I would like to ask you what's your take on it, and please do remember I'm a Korean citizen and I have voting rights.
이것도 어려운 질문이니까 한국말로 할게요. 맞습니다. 여기에 처음 듣는 분들이 많으시기 때문에 제가 설명을 좀 하면 10년 전에 내가 시장을 그만둔 건 주민투표에서 졌기 때문인데 그때 저하고 반대당은 부자 가난한 사람 구분 없이 똑같이 아이들한테 공짜 점심 주자 그러는 거였고 저는 가난한 사람만 주자. 부자 줄 돈 있으면 그걸로 가난한 사람들 학비도 도와주자 하는 입장이었습니다. 지금도 그 철학엔 변함이 없어요. 대중교통요금을 일정한 비용만 내면 그러니까 한 50불 정도 되는 거죠. 50불 정도만 내면 무제한으로 쓸 수 있다는 뜻은 가난한 사람일수록 수입이 적은 사람일수록 그리고 대중교통을 자주 이용하는 학생들이 많은 혜택을 받게 됩니다. 어차피 승용차 타는 사람들은 이 혜택을 받지 못해요. 그래서 제 철학이 바뀌었다고 보는 거는 저는 동의할 수가 없습니다. 왜냐하면 이 정책도 역시 어려운 사람들을 위한 정책이라고 저는 생각하기 때문입니다. Right? Understood? Thank you.
Hi, thank you for your speech. I'm Lynn. I'm an undergraduate in Yale College. I'm also an international student from Korea. Your mayoral election was the first election I ever voted in. So this is really crazy for me. I just had, I think, maybe an easier question. My sister recently graduated from Cheongdam Elementary School, but you mentioned in your slides that you were striving for more equity in the education system, especially between the different social classes. And a phenomenon that happens in Korea is students often, or families sometimes lie about their address in order to be zoned into a different public school. And that is very much the case with Cheongdam, like my sister's school, Cheongdam Elementary School. So I was wondering what you were doing in order to make the public school system more equitable, considering that zoning is such a big part of the education system.
Actually, you are Korean, but your English is too fast. It's difficult, but I understood. Actually, in Korea, education is the 교육청의 일이에요, 사실은. 미국 시스템하고 달라서 교육에 대해서는 한국에서는 시장이 권한이 없습니다. 공교육에 대해서. 그래서 본질적으로는 교육청의 관할이고 교육부의 관할이기 때문에 공교육을 어떻게 살릴지에 대해서는 사실은 저한테 권한과 책임이 없습니다만은 만약에 제가 중앙정부의 정책을 좌지우지할 수 있는 위치가 된다 그러면 좀 더 많은 투자를 교육에 하겠다는 말씀을 드리면 우리 기자분들이 엉뚱한 해석을 할 가능성이 있어서 그래서 답변은 거기까지만 하겠습니다. There are so many Korean reporters at the end of this room.
I should say we have about 5 minutes left before we break for the reception afterwards. So I think we can take 2 more questions. Maybe we should get one from the far back and then from this side after that. So there's a hand very eagerly raised in the far back. I think.
Okay, you choose.
Yeah. Up
Thank you. I'm Zahra Motamedi. I am from Afghanistan and I am honored to be here as a research fellow in law school. Actually, I visited Seoul in 2017 and found this city a very development and beautiful city. I also talked with some men and women in Seoul and found some similarity between the structure of the family in Seoul and in Afghanistan also, but big differences between the structure of the society. I would like to ask about how you deal with the issue of gender in Seoul, in your country, I mean, because there is a obvious difference, there is a big difference in my society because we are facing gender apartheid in Afghanistan, but you as a developed country has many achievements in the aspect of gender. I am clear, or I should explain my question. Yeah, I want to know about the place of women in the structure of the society, how you share, I mean your government share the power with the men in your country. Thank you.
최근 들어서 한국에서 여성의 지위가 굉장히 급신장하고 있습니다. 예를 들면 시험을 보아서 뽑는 자리, 취직, 입시 이런 거에서는 뭐 여성들이 훨씬 더 강세를 보이고 있죠. 아마 제가 10년 전에 시장할 때와 지금 시장하는 때의 차이를 말씀을 드리자면 10년 전에는 승진시키면서 여성들을 요직에 기용을 해서 다음 요직에 갈 수 있도록 배려를 해야 비로소 균형을 맞출 수가 있었는데 요즘에는 팀장급에는 여성이 이미 절반 정도 되는 것 같고 처음에 서울시에 들어오는 공무원 숫자는 뭐 거의 성적으로 양성 평등이 이미 이루어진 지 오래되고 그 팀장급은 그렇고 과장급, 국장급으로 올라가면 점점 더 여성이 많아지기 시작해서 앞으로 한 10년 뒤면 아주 실질적인 평등이 이루어질 거라고 생각을 합니다. 다시 말씀드려서 아마 뭐 아프가니스탄 사정하고는 좀 많이 다를 수 있는데 자연스럽게 여건이 신장되고 있는 건 분명한 한국 사회의 트렌드고요. 이제 아직까지 조금 부족한 면이 있다면 유리천장이 기업체 같은 곳에서 승진할 때는 아직도 많이 남아 있습니다. 공직사회에서는 그런 것이 많이 없어졌어요. 그런데 이제 프라이빗 섹터에서는 그런 게 아직도 많이 남아 있어서 좀 더 배려가 필요한 것도 사실이고 또 정치의 영역에서도 아직 남녀 완전한 성평등이 이루어진 것 같지 않습니다. 그러니까 몇몇 영역에서는 좀 더 많은 노력이 필요하고요. 그것을 위해서 계속해서 한국 사회는 많은 노력을 기울여야 된다. 저는 그렇게 생각합니다.
So last question, I'll let you choose the last one.
맨 뒤에.
Hi, my name is Claire and I'm an undergraduate student, a Korean American undergraduate student at Yale. Just to build off the previous question, I wanted to ask on a more societal scale. Do you believe that the stigmatization of feminism exists in Korea, and if so, what do you think about it?
이것도 역시 굉장히 예민한 질문인데 제가 지명을 잘못한 것 같아요. 그렇습니다. 한국 사회가 지금 그 페미니즘을 가지고 조금은 좀 이상한 방향에서 충돌이 있는 것 같다는 생각을 저는 합니다. 저도 딸만 둘이에요. 아들이 없습니다. 저는. 그럼에도 불구하고 한국에서의 페미니즘 운동은 어떤 의미에서 보면 조금 과격하다 그럴까요? 뭐 그런 느낌이 들 때가 자주 있어요. 아마 그동안에 역사적으로 우리 사회가 굉장히 남성 우위의 사회였기 때문에 거기에 대해서 반작용으로 훨씬 더 공격적인 페미니스트들이 생겨났다고 분석하는 것도 가능하다고 생각합니다. 어쨌든 한국 사회가 좀 더 완전한 성평등이 이루어지는 그런 사회가 될 수 있을 때까지 많은 노력이 필요하다고 저는 생각을 합니다. 이 문제는 거기까지만 답변하겠습니다.
Thank you. So that brings our session to a close. I want to thank you, Mayor Oh, for joining us.
Thank you so much.